Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is my first live stream on the Wyoming Gun Project channel. Okay, the first live stream we're doing here. I've done them before on another channel. I had a watch channel, um, and I wanted to sit down this Sunday morning and discuss certain goings on in the gun tube community. So I dropped a video last night. I dropped it. So I dropped the video last night talking about the situation with T-Rex arm and offering up my opinion based on Lucas Botkin's statement. I asked the question: was T-Rex arms Yoko Ono? Now, I said in the video, probably going to piss some people off with that video because we have an issue on YouTube. You see it with Hollywood personalities. You see it with, you see it in a lot of spaces, but you see it on YouTube too, where these channels get very large and people are fans of them. They watch their videos and all that's good, but they think they know that person in real life and they know everything about that person, and that person is a good person or a bad person. Um, they fall prey to the cult of personality. And if you question that cult of personality or that person's integrity, you get attacked online. Or if you just question, like if you just ask questions, that's all I was doing when in the video was asking questions about, is this what went on? Because a lot of people, because Lucas was on is the face of T-Rex arm and was on um the videos, so he became the face. People seem to like him a lot, and I don't know the dude personally, so he doesn't know me. He doesn't know you. Okay. He does not know who you are. It's a one way, this YouTube dynamic. It's funny because a lot of times it's a one way transaction. We'll get out here, we'll make videos and we'll give our opinions and we talk to you guys and some people, they're real. This is, if there's people out there that have actually talked to me with other YouTube channels and subscribers that have reached out and I've made friendships with, and I bet if you ask them they'll say no, that's exactly how he is in his videos. This is me, this is what you're getting. But some people set up a character when they do their YouTube stuff. um so you don't really know them, and there's so many people out there watching our videos. We don't get a chance, just due to time constraint, to really know a lot of you and what you went through and stuff. But my point of that video was the truth. The truth, and how a lot of times there is, and I'll repeat it out here too, there is your side, my side, and the truth usually floats somewhere in the middle. Okay. um the truth is, to the people that support Lucas, the truth is what he says. He says, he put out a statement and they're like, thanks for the truth. This is exactly what's going on. And how do you know that? How do you know that? I simply wanted to ask some questions like, is that the whole truth? Or is what T-Rex Arms said the whole truth? Or, like I've said, that I've experienced in life, is the truth somewhere in the middle? I don't know what, side note, I don't know what's going on. I can't see comments or anything. I don't know what is, hold on. I don't, oh, there we go. Uh, so, and I love to see these people come out and they state exactly what they know what's going on. In my video, my whole point of it, which is why the title says, was T-Rex arm Yoko Ono? And by that, I meant, did, now there's a couple of takes on here, a couple of ways to look at it. And again, I'm going to reiterate this because this is my point of the live stream. This is my point of the whole of the whole video that I dropped. The truth usually lies somewhere in the middle. Now, Lucas Botkin supporters, um, again, you don't know this man. I'm not saying he's good or bad. What I'm saying is you don't know him. But they are, by even questioning, by even asking questions about what really went on, uh, you get a bunch of um, Lucas Botkin buttlickers. And they do the same thing for Grantham. If you go in there, you know, Grantham was taking a beating on stuff a while back, but you get the simps in there that are like, Grantham is my favorite person in the world, and and I know him, and he has integrity. And then whoops, what happened with that? Okay, so I don't think it's a coincidence if you watch the video that stuff started to go sideways in 2019 when Lucas met his wife. Now, let me explain that. Did Lucas's family not like he said they weren't very accommodating to her? Um, did they not like her because of certain reasons? Did she come off and not like that? Was it a combination of both? Were they like, this is an outsider? Did she not Was she not very friendly, or was she friendly and they just didn't like her? Or was she not friendly and I don't know. I don't know. But I guarantee you, if you asked his family, they would give you a different perspective than he gave you. So for people to come out and say, oh, I know exactly what's going on, and Lucas is my hero. And again, you probably get all butthurt about this because you, because you for some people that are just like, I like Lucas. You don't know Lucas. You don't know him. You don't know Grantham. You don't know these actors in Hollywood. And it turns out a lot of them, why do you think they say never meet your heroes? Okay? Never meet your heroes, because you're going to be disappointed a lot of time. So I mean, it just because. And then to say they took advantage of Lucas. He was an adult when he signed it. I'm sorry if he didn't educate himself on business practices, but it seemed like he trusted his family enough to let them in the business, okay, to help run it. Maybe he asked them. I don't know. Maybe he left that part out. Maybe if you asked the family, they said, no, no, he asked us for help to come in because the business was maybe getting too much for him to handle. I don't know. But in the comments, listen, I am all about constructive dialogue and discourse. If you want to come in and you want to offer alternative scenarios or give evidence as to why you think, not just based on what he said, but evidence as to why you think Lucas was totally innocent in this situation, totally such an angel, and he was not wrong, and he was just taken advantage of. He was poor, his brothers and his whole family, and they took advantage of him. Fine, I will offer evidence of that. Or if you want to go on the other side and say, yeah, I think maybe it's not a coincidence that that other person was added into the personal dynamic of the company and stuff started to fray and fall apart. Was that the catalyst for it? People are always like, somebody sent her, messages. Again, I asked the question and nobody seems to. I dive deep into when somebody tells me something, I just don't take it at face value. I start to go, that's interesting. What about this? And what about this? And what did you do? And what did they do? And well, what were they just spicy memes and she got offended? How was the stuff sent? That was probably the way his video came off. They were having issues for several years, and that was the catalyst to push him over the edge. Okay. Now, I have seen people say they were in similar situations and got screwed over by a woman who pushed their family out away. Okay. And then I've seen other situations. A guy this morning And he was very respectful. And I dig this. You can disagree with me. As long as you're respectful, I'll be respectful back to you. I'm all about that. Truly, I'm all about that. If somebody else offered another version and said he was in a similar situation and he was a Mormon and his wife came in and said, wow, and saved him from the Mormon church. That's okay. I'm like, that could be an angle too. That I don't know. I apparently Lucas's father's a pastor, runs a church. By the way, his church is on the Warrior Poet Society, John Lovell. So how is he going to handle this? And then on X, Lucas said he left the church. Did he leave the church that his father's run? Left the church for his wife? And somebody was like, I hope she was worth it. And he said, yeah, she is. As somebody who was married. And again, my scenario doesn't necessarily mean that's what's going on, because other people said, I was in the same situation and my wife saved me from my evil family. Well, your wife is not his wife. My wife is not his wife. Our situations are all very unique when it comes to this type of stuff. Okay. I was just speculating. I was just basically asking a question on what really happened. What really happened, and trying to analyze his speech, um, and the things he said, like, we had to go to couples counseling and she taught me about gaslighting and all this. I will bet you if you ask his father and his family, now his father's a pastor, all 7 of his children, to include Lucas, were homeschooled. Okay. They were brought up in a religious environment, a family environment. So they probably view it as an outsider came in and blew up all their teachings and stole their child away. That's probably their perspective. Everything was fine. I bet if you ask his family and his brothers and everybody else, everything was fine until he met his wife. Not saying that's the truth. That's their perspective. They will probably say everything was fine till she showed up. And then he mentions things like they weren't accommodating to her because she had a backbone. Is that some people will say, oh, that's religious cult stuff, and they like their women to stay in their place. And she was strong and independent and busted the whole thing up. That's their perspective. His perspective could be based on what he said, because he said he talked about how everything was transactional with him, and so she analyzed his entire life with his family and was able to say they're taking advantage of you. Is that what came out of the video? They would say it was her. She would say they're manipulating him, which is what he said. He said his family was manipulating him and taking advantage of him, and I guarantee you they see it the opposite way. Okay. Just asking questions, not taking side. I don't know Lucas. I don't know his family. Okay, I don't pretend to, but people that come on here and they're like, Lucas was right, man. He's telling the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Is he really? How do you know that? How do you know that? Do you have the evidence? You guys would make terrible detectives, because your emotions, some of these folks' emotions are all involved. Again, the cult of personality. We know him because he's on YouTube and he seems like a good guy. I explain in that video that, and I'm sorry about the comments. I can't really see an answer. I'm doing this on my phone, so uh, so if I don't answer your comments, I apologize. I can't even really see them. Again, first time doing this on the channel. So my point is, be careful of the cult of personality, of you just accepting what somebody says because you like their YouTube videos. Okay. They make good content or whatever. I mean, Lucas has had some, I don't subscribe to him. I haven't really watched, I said that in the video. I haven't really watched his channel very much, their channel, T-Rex. But I do remember one time where he got all butthurt and at PSR for putting dildos on guns and shooting them or whatever it was. And I thought that video was hilarious. That's just me. He was all hurt about the jokes, the sexual jokes in YouTube videos and the entertainment value, and it should be strictly, informational based and all that. Cool. If you want to have your channel like that, man, there's a space for that too. But there's also a space for the entertainment channels. But we have seen time and time again, whether it's politicians, whether it's Hollywood, okay, with actors, whether it's YouTube celebrities, people are fallible. We're not perfect. We make mistakes. We have emotional outbursts. We have different views on the same subject. I think if you were to be taken impartial, and that was what the point of my video was, to take an impartial stand and ask the question. And the reason I asked the question was because it seemed like everybody was jumping on the Louis Botkin is a hero train without even thinking it, without even thinking through. They just took exactly what he said at face value. And some of the things he said I was like, huh, that's interesting that you chose that pattern of words. If you go back and listen to the video, it seems like most of the video, he talks about how his family or his brothers, it talks about his wife. Why do you think his wife is the focal point of the video? So it's obvious that there's strife between his wife and his family. Otherwise, he would say it was my problem and it was me and my family. And all. He says in the video, he talks a lot about his wife. So it's clear that his family and his wife have issues. Who is right and who is wrong? Again, it's been my experience that there's three sides to every story in a conflict like this. Your side, my side, and the truth. Okay? That's just been and again, when I say it floats, that means this side might tell a little bit of truth, and then it swings to this side, it might tell a little bit of truth. Yeah, and then you have to build. It's almost like cops building a case. You got to figure it out and put the blocks together on what is actually going on. Try to take an impartial take on the whole thing, but people don't want to do that. They just automatically jump to conclusions and say, I know who's right. He's my hero. And in this case, they're talking about Lucas Botkin. And again, I don't know him. I'm not taking sides. I just offered up an alternative take on the situation. Again, I knew that people were going to come after me because he's well liked, and that might very well be the case. Okay, he might very well be that nice guy that he is in the video. All right. But you just have to sit there and ask yourself some questions and go, why, for the family that raised you, here's a question I want to know that I would like somebody to answer. And again, I might not see it. Let me swipe up here and see if I can see any type of comments. I don't know what's going on, man. Comments on. I'm trying to figure this out. But okay. Why would the family that brought him up, just asking the questions, you spent all this time with your family, your father, your mother, father's a pastor, runs his own church, all your brothers and sisters. It says that they have 7 children. Lucas is one of them. Then you grow up to be adult, you build this business. You obviously trusted your brothers enough and your close family friend. I guess your father sits on the board or something now at TREX Arms. But you obviously trusted those folks enough to bring them in to your business, which, side note on that, never get into business with family and friends, because this is usually how it happens. But you trusted them enough all the way up until 2019, when there was a new factor introduced into the equation. Okay? And then stuff slowly started to go sideways. My question in the video, and the question I'll ask here, is when he says his family wasn't very accommodating to his wife when they first met. Why? Nobody asked the question. They just go, oh, that's mean. Why? Why weren't they very accommodating? Was it because they are a religious cult, like some people say, and they just don't like outsiders? Or did they see something else that all of us don't see and that Lucas doesn't see? I don't know. Or did she sniff out their bullshit, like Lucas says in the video? Did she say, there's some cultish behavior, or I don't like the way they're treating him? But again, it's pretty funny that they brought him up all the way up through his life, and I don't know how old he is or when he was born, and everything was kosher. And then you introduce an outside element, and that family bond is broken. And some people have said they've been through, again, I'll repeat it. Some people said they've been through similar situations with the churches, with Mormons and stuff like that. There's a guy on Instagram and TikTok who was a former Amish guy, and their wife broke them out of it, and they're happier now. That's cool. That's cool. Again, here's another thing I want to reiterate. I don't wish any ill will. I mean, I don't wish any ill will towards T-Rex Arms or Lucas Bach in his new venture. I wish him all the best. I hope he is super successful. And I hope his marriage is awesome. And I hope for him that he made the right choice. But I have seen so many times where a woman was introduced into it, split the family up, and then she rolls out on it. I'm not saying this is what's going to happen, but and she rolls out on him, and he has to come back to the family and apologize and be like, oh, yeah, you guys are right. And I've also seen where controlling families lose control of one of their own and they don't like it. So again, somewhere in the middle. Okay. It's probably somewhere in the middle. I bet you if they were under oath and you were able to speak to the entire family, the Botkin family, and then you were able to speak to Lucas and his wife, because that seems to be the two teams. Let's remember, it's not just his brothers, his father's involved, okay, with this. So it's a whole family affair. All right. If you were able to get them to give a statement and then take their statement, sit down and figure out, a la court of law style, figure out what went on, you would probably come a lot closer to the truth. And this idea of, well, they took advantage of Lucas. Maybe. I don't know. We don't know. But for some of you folks out there that are saying, I know exactly what happened, dude. I've watched Lucas's videos, so I know exactly what happened in this situation. His brothers took advantage of him. So if they took advantage of, is he an idiot? Did they take advantage of an idiot savant? Is that what it is? Or as a grown man, did he make a mistake and let his family in? Could be. But again, I think it's very interesting. You cannot ignore that the 2019 time frame is when it started to kind of go off the rails a little bit. And I will play devil's advocate on both sides. Was that because his wife came in and said and sniffed out his family's bullshit? Maybe. Or did she come in and start causing chaos and havoc and strife in an otherwise smooth running family business? I don't know. I will bet you that it lies somewhere in the middle, and it's all based on perspective. Okay? That's my take on that. Yeah, no, I'm starting to see comments here. That's the thing. Somebody left a comment, said Lucas was the face of T-Rex Arms. 100%. 100%. So people are going to gravitate towards Lucas again and think they know him. They think they know him. Hey, Jason's in here. I say in my video, Jason, if you haven't watched it, I say in my video, do not make these people your heroes. This is the cult of personality. This is how cult leaders are able to get away with stuff. Okay, this is how cult leaders are able to get away with stuff, and people not question their behavior sometimes with some of this crazy stuff, because you're just enamored with, oh, Lucas on video, and he's got to be right. I watch his videos, and he seems like, thank you. That's what it is, Jason. Never have gun tube heroes. Why do you think there's an old famous saying that says never meet your heroes? Because you will be disappointed. You will be disappointed. You don't know what Lucas is behind closed doors. You don't know how his family is behind closed doors. But again, I think it, but side note, I want to say, I think it's kind of funny that the top comment on Lucas's video for his explanation of why he left was Grand Thumb going, "We got your back, dog," after everything, after Grand Thumb's personal business was leaked to the public, and it's not good. I think it's kind of died down a little bit, and I don't think it really hurt his channel that much. He didn't lose a lot of subs and everything. Well, whatever. I mean, again, that's his personal life. But the thing is, and I'm not about getting into people's personal lives. However, when you put it out on YouTube, I'm putting myself out on YouTube right now. All these YouTubers put yourselves out. You open yourself up for valid criticism. I'm all about that. I am all about the respectful debate. I will sit here and respectfully debate folks all day long on my position. But if you want to scream and yell and be emotional about it, and be like, you don't know Lucas, neither do you, and do all that kind of stuff, I'm not into that. I respect people's differing opinions, you know, and then we can respectfully disagree and move out as friends. That's how it used to be. That's how it's supposed to be. Instead of this tribal, fuck T-Rex and Lucas is our hero, and some other people going, Lucas is a simp and T-Rex, but it's mostly, again, because Lucas was the face of the channel. Um, you know, again, the two sides. Listen, the statement put out by T-Rex, they are not going to come out. Let's just do got a haircut yesterday, so I got to put my hat back on. Let's just, again, play devil's advocate. That's a thing I like to do. I like to sit there and step back from the situation and try to take emotion and my bias out of a situation, regardless of what it is, and ask questions. And a lot of people don't like you to do that. They just like you to be tribal and pick a side. So that's what it is. But if this is an if, and remember, I'll state it again, your side, my side, and the truth. I usually find out in life the truth, it usually hovers somewhere right in the middle. If when he married his wife and she was brought into the family, because that's what happens, you marry somebody, they're brought in part of your extended family, with your family. If she is an issue, or if the issue is her, from the perspective of TREX Arms and his family, they're not going to come out publicly and say, we don't like her, she's the problem, she came in and stirred stuff up. They're not going to do that. They're not going to say that. They won't. They will not say that publicly. I guarantee you. They're not going to say it. But if you watch the video, a lot of the video, he's referencing stuff about his wife and his family. Again, I will state it again for people that just showed up in here, please do not get into business with your family or best friends. This is usually how it ends up. Okay? It ends badly usually. But why wouldn't his family hire his wife? Was his entire family just a bunch of meanies and they don't like her? Or was his family don't like her because she sniffed out their bullshit? I don't know. But it's crazy drama. I just don't, based off of video, okay? Based off rumors, conjecture, and two videos, one put out by T-Rex and one put out by Lucas Botkin, people have gone tribal and they've chosen sides and they're ready to fight on YouTube about it. And I'm just sitting here going, whoa, wait, guys. I wanted to make a video going, wait, guys, could this be a possibility? Asking for a friend. Could this be a possibility that it went down this way? Maybe not. What strategic work? It says, I am in the camp that, it's blocked right there, that the wife sniffed out the bullshit. What evidence do you have of that? Because what if she is a toxic wife and she turned Lucas against his family? Because I bet you if you ask them, that's what they would say. Because again, why would most of the video be him talking about his wife and how his family didn't welcome his wife. Also, was that the first lady that ever gave him booty? I don't know. He doesn't seem like a ladies' man to me. Was that the first one ever knock him down? And he's like, I'm team up. You know how many times I've seen simpy dudes be like, I would choose my wife or my whole family no matter what. No matter what. Somebody left a comment like that. You choose your wife no matter what. You choose your wife no matter what, huh? So if your wife's out there running the streets, handing that cooter out like candy, you gonna support her no matter what? You gonna stay with her no matter what? What if your wife's a drunk? What if your wife is not faithful? What if you're gonna support her no matter what, huh? So you're not going to hold your wife to account for any of her behavior? Is that what you're trying to say? Or if you're an adult and you say, I don't like your behavior and I will not stand for this. Just asking. Just asking. Support her no matter what. I never bought into that. I support my family no matter what. I support my children. I support. If you're wrong, you're wrong. If you're doing wrong, you're wrong. And again, I don't know if she is. All hypothetical. All hypothetical on that. I just don't like blanket support for people that aren't conducting themselves. You know, is she a smoke show? Yeah, you can kind of let that stuff go, right? Bro, depends. No, not if she. Okay, but if she's giving that stuff out to every Tom, Dick, and Harry, you know, what the heck? She don't give a shit about you. That's funny. Um, yeah, man. So that's just I wanted to get on here and kind of have it's funny making. Let me tell you what the perspective is, being a content creator, whatever you want to call it, gun tuber, making content and putting it out. You kind of only get one side. It's kind of a one-way transactional relationship. I would love to meet a lot of people. I have met a lot of people through this. Jason from the Texas Gun Vault, a subscriber, Andy, really cool dude. My buddy Chris up in Gillette, who runs the Muffin Top Tactical Podcast. Met some really cool people. So I put out my takes, and then it's not a active conversation, because usually I can say something and you can say, well, let me retort, and then, oh, okay. And it's fluid. It's more fluid than just putting out videos or having a real conversation. But this is the way we have to do it if we want to meet a bunch of different people and stuff like that. So this is actually a little bit better, I think, than putting out a video, spicy take video or something like that on a topic, and waiting for the comments and trying to type. And that's the other thing. The video I put out it's doing pretty good, and there was a lot of comments in there, and I thought this would be a better way to address those comments. I think one of my points is again, yeah, it completes exactly. Hustle Bones say it really is really weird how tribal people get taking sides of one complete stranger or another. Exactly. Exactly. It's almost, it is tribal. You think you know what went on. Again, it's like the same thing with politics. You're holding these people up like they're perfect, and you really don't know what went on. If you spent a lot of time to really know what would go on, you would have to spend a ton of time interviewing his entire family, interviewing him, interviewing his wife, interviewing his brother's wives, interviewing church members. That's kind of what an investigation does, what detectives do for crimes and stuff like that. That's why real thorough detectives will go all the way down and interview his childhood friend from sixth grade to kind of get an idea of what, the person you're dealing with. But how many times have we seen these religious leaders or gun tubers, or again, actors, come out and you're thinking they're the greatest. Oh man, this guy's cool. And then what the hell? He did this? He got arrested for that? Look at Diddy. Diddy's in big trouble right now. Diddy is in big trouble. They all thought, Diddy, he's the rapper and stuff. And now all the nasty stuff, all the nasty stuff coming out in the trial, that man going to jail. I'm just saying. R. Kelly, R. Kelly, he's the greatest. What? Now that's somebody in jail now. So yeah, it's and again, people are like, why are you mentioning? Listen. It's hot in the gun tube space right now. A lot of people like this. I enjoy watching your channel. Only reason I'm here, if I never hear the name T-Rex or Lucas again, I'll lose no sleep. Yeah, exactly. Thanks for that. I just want sometimes for certain situations not be so tribal when it comes to politics or YouTube drama or stuff like that. And this is YouTube drama. And when I saw the whole thing, I saw an overwhelmingly positive response for Lucas. And he could be in the right. I'm not saying he's not. What I'm saying is, I don't assume to know the situation fully to put my support behind one or the other, because I've seen similar situations where a religious cult family or whatever you want to call it has had tight grip on their family, and when somebody pulls them away, it creates strife. I've also seen the other side where a Cleopatra comes in or a Yoko Ono and blows the whole thing up. Somebody left a comment in there, and I think they're completely correct. Cleopatra did to the Roman Empire what no army could do. So there is a real thing. There is a real thing out there, okay, where a wife comes in, blows up the family dynamic, splits them apart for whatever reason, and then bails on the dude, and he's got to go back, hat in hand. I'm sorry, it was, And then there's also the other side where, in some cases, and I'm not calling out specific religions, but in some cases, in some of these very strict religious communities, outsiders are not welcome, especially if they're spouting stuff that is not in line with this religious or this religion's values. Okay. So that's what I want to come in and kind of give a, my take on and my explanation on some of what's going on in the comments section, because I can't answer every comment. A lot of comments were coming in, and I was trying to answer them. And by the way, again, if you're still in here, I wanted to thank Jason, because when I first started watching his channel, he said something that, like, I don't even respond to the negative comments anymore, trolls. I just block them. And I was like, man, no, you got to argue with him and show him who's boss. And that was my thinking, because I was trying to argue with everybody. And I kind of see where he's coming from now. And I do the same thing. If you come in, if you're going to give a lowbrow argument, if you're going to be an idiot, if you're going to say dumb shit or curse at me or something like that, I'm just going to block you. And I'm not even going to play with you no more. I love to have adult conversations. I love to sit down in a cordial manner like this. No screaming and yelling, no cultish personality, take one side or the other behavior and say, can we ask some questions? What is really going on with this situation? Um, so for people to immediately take sides, that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Like, it was immediate. And again, I get it, because people see Lucas as the face of T-Rex Arms, and the narrative was put out there that his company was stolen right out from under him from his brothers. That might have partially been the case, but didn't he have to sign some paperwork to let them in as partners? Because they didn't just come on in and beat him up like the mob did. Sign this paper, we're taking over your company. I think he gave them part ownership. And correct me if I'm wrong, but when you do that, don't you have to buy into a company? Did they give Lucas money for their share of the company? Again, I'm asking all these questions, and nobody has the answers to them. So please don't assume that you have the answers. Did Lucas ask them for help to bring him in? Did he say the business is getting overwhelming for one guy? Can you come in and help me? And they did. And he did state that they were employees first, and then came to him and said they wanted a part of the business. Usually that comes with a check from the brothers or or a continued higher payout of the thing. Uh, who cares? Blah blah. You obviously care because you left a comment. You cared enough to leave a comment, bro. I'm just telling you, this is kind of um, what's going on in the guns tube space. It's news. People were waiting for this video, and I thought I would give my 2 cents. Put my 2 cents in it. Doesn't mean anything. So if you want to watch, watch. If you don't, go ahead on with you, bro. But true though, toxic women are a problem for naive dudes. Yeah, they really are. Look at my face. Is this the face of somebody who gives a fuck? You won't be missed. Bye, bitch. So there you go. See, this is exactly what I'm talking about. There's different stories out there. So RW says Luke's brother did invest in T-Rex arm early on. According to discussions on Sniper's Hide, Lucas needed capital to expand and raised money twice. The first time was his dad and brother. So there it is. Is that true? So information from Sniper's Eye said his dad and brother bought into the business. He glosses over that really quick. He glosses over that really quick about I started with my own $2,000 and then it was kind of you didn't take any infusion of capital from anybody in your family, or friends or investors or anything else. We don't know. Not sure. So again, for yeah, back okay, it was back in 2017. There you go. So Sniper's Hide says that there was an injection of money buy-in by the fourth owner. Okay, there. See, was the fourth owner his dad? I don't know. That makes sense because I think his dad still sits on the board of directors. And again, on John Lovell's website, Warrior Poet Society thing, it links to his father's ministry and sermon. So a lot of these folks are connected on YouTube and stuff like this. And another thing is not besmirching Christians because I am a Christian. But how many times have we seen these so-called Christians get caught up in a controversy where they're cheating on their wife, or they're spending lots of money, or they're gay, or they are diddlers, or whatever? How many times have we seen that? How many times? I remember growing up in the 80s, okay, with old boy James and Tammy Faye Baker. Do you remember that? And he was banging some model. I forget her name now. It's it's crossed my mind. And people were like, "Oh my God, he got caught with Jessica Hahn. I think your name was. He got caught. This pastor got caught on getting a side piece. How many times have we seen that, bro? How many times this church in Australia that was huge with the singing and the high whatever it is, I forget now. Uh it's I don't know if he's the owner. I said I think he might sit on the board of directors. I think it says his dad sits on the board of directors. I saw that when I was doing some research for this. Not sure if that's true or not. Did his dad put money in according to the Sniper's Hide thing? His dad injected capital into the company, into them. I don't know. I don't know. So again, how many times have we seen that type of stuff come out from these so-called pious religious leaders, and then they get caught up spending all the church's money on watches and shoes, and they end up being the power bottom at Diddy parties or stuff like that. I'm not saying that's what's going on. I'm saying that my point of that is don't get caught up in the cult of personality. Don't trust these folks because they put on, sometimes folks put on a public persona, a public face, and behind the scenes, they're doing all kinds of fuck shit. I'm just saying. Yes, that is true. That is absolutely true. Since I can't imagine them doing well without Lucas, since he's basically the face of the company. 100% true. Business wise, regardless of all the behind the scenes angling and how it went down and how it finally crashed out with the spicy memes or photos or whatever it was. Um, I think it's going to hurt him pretty bad because again, perception is reality. Okay, if people perceive you as the bad guy, even if the evidence doesn't point to it, in the point of public opinion, in the court of public opinion, I mean, if the public sees you as the bad guy and you even come out and present evidence against the contrary, a lot of times they are entrenched in their camps and you can't tell them nothing. They're gonna, they won't, you don't see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. They're not gonna say nothing. They're gonna close it and say, la, 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 Lucas is the best. Lucas is the best. It's the same as, let me shift a little bit here. It's the same as the thing with Sig Sauer and the P320. Court of public opinion is stacked against him. There is now a perception that the P320 is very dangerous and going to go off in holsters. Is that reality after the millions of pistols made? I think a small percentage. Probably, by the way, on that subject, there is a Vancouver, Washington PD report that came out. It's coming out soon. I think somebody's going to do an in-depth video on how they were able to replicate the problems with the problem pistols and how the sear was perching. And it wasn't put together incorrectly like some of the theories that we had out there. Again, I got a lot of positive stuff on those 320 videos, but I got some SIG lovers, SIG butt kissers that are out there just like it can never happen and all this. And okay, it was just a working theory. I was just trying to apply the at-home scientific method of, is this possible? Can this be done? Because, and if people are, no, we had to do this and that, and that, but the Vancouver PD apparently had 4 or 5 faulty pistols that they were able to replicate the issue. And I think that video might be coming out soon. It's just, to me, I mentioned this to a friend, I'm mentioning to you guys in relation. We have shifted gears now to the 320, but it kind of ties into the TREX ARMS thing where I mentioned the court of public opinion. Perception is reality, regardless of evidence for a lot of people. But when it comes to the 320, I talked to a friend about this. I perceive it a lot like shark attacks or maybe getting struck by lightning. I personally have never met anybody that's been attacked by a shark. Being attacked by a shark is very, very, very rare. But in the right conditions, right weather conditions, right seasonal conditions, right all kinds of conditions that line up, people have been attacked by sharks. It's very low, very rare. But the perception is that sharks are, for some people, the perception is sharks are everywhere out there. They're dangerous. You go in the water, you're going to get eaten by sharks. And Jaws didn't help that. They created a whole shark phobia. But the odds of you actually getting attacked and bitten by a shark are so low that they're almost zero. The same thing with being struck by lightning. We've all seen lightning. We all know it's real. We've all had different encounters with lightning. Just because you haven't been struck by lightning doesn't mean it's not real. But the odds are so low that you will get struck by lightning. Again, it's almost zero. However, we still take precautions against lightning strikes, just in case. Same thing with the 320. It seems like it's so low of an occurrence that, but it's still there. And now it has put this doubt and fear about the pistol into people's minds. My honest take on that is it's a combination of a bunch of things. It's a combination of human error. It's a combination of uh, a substandard engineering. It's a combination of, could be a combination of holsters. But the one thing that is the constant in The 320 issue is the human factor. You have to introduce a human into the situation. And that goes with everything. You don't have car wrecks. You don't have car wrecks if you don't introduce a human into there, not with the robot cars and all that kind of stuff now. But before, if you just parked a car, it would sit there, it would never move, it would never have an accident, it would rot. But if you put a drunk human into that sucker, it becomes a deadly weapon. So what engineers of cars will do, knowing that the human factor is a real thing in car development and engineering and design, they engineer safety features into the car in case that human makes a mistake and does it. They should have, they call this thing idiot proof, and nothing's idiot proof, but you need to try to design a firearm to the lowest common denominator where it's practically impossible to reassemble it or do whatever. You can't take it all out, but I think them trying to make a trigger so light like a single action and not going the Glock style route was one of the issues too. And then you get untrained, but it's a whole thing. But again, Jason mentioned something. He had a great take on this about he thinks 6 hour might, and I didn't even think about this. And I think this is a very valid take. 6 hour might introduce another model pistol as a stand-in for the 320. Keep the 320 going to military and law enforcement, maybe. And then make another improved pistol that'll be designed differently, a la the 365, because the 320's been tainted. Even if they came out with the super fixed and guaranteed it was fixed for everybody, there's a lot of people said they would never buy from SIG again because of the way they handled it, because they came out on social media and it felt like an attack on their customers and YouTubers and all that kind of jazz. Let me go back to this one. But my point of the whole thing was that, again, perception is reality. Perception is reality in the realm of this. Please don't take the wrong play, because I really enjoy the channel. But why do we care about any of this? It's none of our business. Well, you're correct. It's none of our business. Now, had they kept all of this internal to their family and stuff, we never would have known any of this. This is kind of like the Grand Thumb that came out, the SIG 320. I think these are relevant topics to discuss. I appreciate you watching the channel. I think the reason I said something on it is because I think it's a relative a topic to discuss in the gun tube community, because TREX Arms is a huge channel, and Lucas Botkin, a lot of people like him, and a lot of people say he's the face of the channel. If he hadn't put it out there, if they kept this all behind the scenes, kept everything quiet, did the little transaction and have him start his own channel, and kind of people were like, and then just drifted away from T-Rex very quietly and said, it's an internal family issue, I'm moving on with something else, go check this channel out. It might have died all this down. It might have stamped a lot of this down. But I think it's relevant to at least the gun tube community, the gun space. It'll be something else in 5 minutes. It'll be somebody else will focus. Yeah, great. Palm Beach, Florida. Well, thank you from Florida. Thank you from Wyoming. Thanks joining from Florida. I guess I must be living under a rock because I never heard of TREX Arms till now. Yeah, it was one. Again, like I said, I didn't really follow their channel that much. I did see a couple of their videos. I did see, again, I mentioned it in the video. I'll mention it here. I mentioned it earlier. I'll mention it again for people that just got here. He kind of came out hard against PSR, and I do follow that channel. I like that channel. And he said some things about, PSR did the spicy video where he was being sponsored by an adult toy company, and he put like, adult toy male phallic shaped products on the end of his guns and shot the guns. And I thought it was pretty funny, man. I thought it was pretty funny. And Lucas came out and really came down hard on that guy. And his response was really classy. And so I was kind of, at that point, I kind of thought To me, Lucas came across as a kind of skinny jeans wearing stick in the mud. But again, I don't know him. He felt it was relevant to comment on the gun tube space for that. So I think it's relevant. We should be able to comment on his gun tube space stuff. Let me go back to this one. Do I think the 320 is still a good choice for military and police? My thing is my biggest rub in this whole situation was the way that SIG treated this situation, the way they treated their customers. I personally like the 320. I like the grip. I like the trigger. I like the way it shoots. I have them. They're very accurate. I have three of them, and a lot of people are like, why don't you just dump them and get rid of them? Let me explain that. Let's talk about that for a second. A lot of people are invested in the 320. A lot of people like the 320 and they have multiple. There's been people on my channel say, I got 320s and none of them do that thing. And the thing I pointed out in one of the other videos, and they're great and I'm going to keep them. Good for you. You're invested in that platform. And to just dump those at bare bottom prices is, why would you dump a $600 pistol for half price, maybe less right now? People are not. I was at my local gun shop, which will remain nameless, and I asked them, they sell 320s there. I said, hey man, how is the 320 game with all the stuff going on? He's like, that's what he did. He said, in the toilet. Nobody's buying them. So they have a rack of 320s there, all the way from M17s, M18s, comped ones, this ones, X5 ones, X this ones, all this kind of stuff. Nobody's buying them because of the bad press, because of the perception that they are dangerous. I personally like the grip on them. I personally like the way they shoot. I have three of them. I'm not going to get rid of them because they're not really worth anything right now. I've done little checks and stuff on them. I don't carry them at all. They kind of sit in the safe. I did have one 320. I still have it, 320 carry and 45 auto. That was like my home defense gun for years, but I left it in condition 3 because to me in the house, condition 3, you're not having to quickly pull. I'll just grab, and I don't like the striker being back the whole time on any guns. That's a home defense gun. It was loaded, condition 3. All I had to do is rack the slide, turn the flashlight on, and go. So it didn't really, I didn't have to worry about it going off accidentally or uncommanded or negligently or any of that type of stuff. I think SIG screwed up and could have got out in front of this. They could have got way out in front of this and eased people's minds and said, hey, if you want to send it back in, think about this. Imagine if SIG hadn't have put that post out on X. Like, it ends today. We're blah, 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 blah. It's very, very confrontational. And imagine if they came back and said, do you have any reservations about your 320? If you would like to send it in, send it in. We'll have our armors go over it and we'll check it out. And if there are any issues, we will fix it. Kind of like they did with the voluntary upgrade for the drop safety thing. If you remember back, they kept saying, it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. And then videos came out where it's happening. People were dropping them on carpet, they were going off. People were hitting them with hammers, they were going off, and they were saying it's happening. So faced with all the evidence that it was a possibility that they were not drop safe, they said, well, we're not going to issue a recall. We'll issue a voluntary upgrade. If you want to send it in, send it in. If you don't, the pistol's fine. And I think it's kind of a coincidence that after I don't remember any reports of the pistols going off, however you want to say it, negligently, uncommanded, by themselves, whatever. I don't remember hearing of any of these issues until after the upgrade. So my question is, again, I ask questions because I don't jump into camps and just beat the drum for any gun company or any person online or any football team or whatever, right? My question is, I don't remember hearing any about before that. So did they fix one problem and accidentally create another one because they changed the sear, they changed the disconnector, they added a secondary sear, they changed a bunch of stuff. They lightened the trigger and they lightened the new sear to help prevent these drop safety, going off after being dropped, these drop safety issues. Did they inadvertently create the other issue? I don't know. I think if they they would have handled it like Taurus. I think it was a Taurus. Let's go back and look at like the Taurus 24/7. I think it was that was having similar issues, and they issued a general recall on everything and brought them all back. EOTech, I talk about in one of my videos where on how companies and gun companies in general should handle it. EOTech was by all accounts a go-to-war optic. I had four of them. Four. I think it was four of the. I think the 512s. They take the AA batteries. It was discovered that in extreme heat, in like 120 plus degrees, and extreme cold, I don't know, below zero, whatever it was, you can have up to a 4 MOA shift in your zero with the EOTech. And some people were like, well, it doesn't get that hot. It gets that hot in the desert. Also, not to mention, let's not forget, if you leave your gun sitting out in 95-degree weather, your whole entire gun, including your sight, is going to be 150 degrees in 20 minutes. And I remember I had it on my scar. That sucker was dialed in. It was shooting, it was shooting like that at 100. I would take it out, shoot it. It's dialed in, man. And I had a EOTech magnifier for it. I still have that. I would come back out a couple months later, shoot it again, and it would be way up here, or it'd be way down here. Or so I actually noticed. I didn't know at the time what it was, and I'm like, wait, I thought this was sighting. I thought maybe I'm using different ammo or something. And so I noticed it. EOTech said, we've noticed this. This is definitely an issue. We will buy back all of your 512 sites and give you what you paid for it. Send us where you bought it, serial number, price you paid, and we'll send in the sites and we'll send you a check. And I did that. That's the way to handle it. And EOTech, they came out clean from that. They're still a great site, and they said they have fixed that issue in their new sites, and I believe them. They came out perfectly clean. That's the way to handle it. I've never ever seen a company, I don't care if it's a car company, a burger stand, a lawn care company, I've never seen it work where you come out and attack your customers and you come out on top. It just it doesn't work. Let me move up to you because we're getting to be we are over an hour. SIG's response did hurt their rep, affecting all their money. Yeah, it did. And then also, there's a lot of shady stuff with their CEO who remained nameless that used to run Kimber when Kimber was really struggling back in these. By the way, Kimber, I know a lot of people have a bad taste in their mouth from those past years when Kimber was struggling with that specific CEO. I bought two newer Kimbers. One my wife bought for me for my birthday last year or year before last. And I got no problems with it. I have a personal negative experience with a Kimber 20 years ago. I swore off them, traded in, bought less spares from there on. And now 20 years later, I gave them another shot. Oh, let me see if because this seems like they've been trying real hard to repair their reputation and their brand. Don't think it's a coincidence that these financial companies, these investment capitalists or whatever, venture capitalists come in, they buy everything up, and then they focus on profit, and not the product and not the customer. And they usually burn down a company and then move on to the next one. I don't think it's a coincidence that this person that will remain nameless did this to Kimber, moved on to SIG, and now SIG is having similar issues, which, by the way, is also being investigated for illegally shipping guns to some country in South America that was on the banned list. Germany was going to put them in jail, all kinds of whatever, stuff going on with that. But my biggest problem is not specifically with the 320 as it is to how SIG responded to it. Again, if some of these issues, think about if the minute a dozen of these reports came out, SIG said, whoa, general recall on all these guns. Let's bring them in, check them out, we'll fix them. It's happened before. TSOS just did it with a couple of models. Smith & Wesson third gens were having issues, and if you take the gun apart and there's a little dot in the back or a little mark or a little fucking stamp, that means the gun's been upgraded and stuff like that. It's happened before. And it all depends, a lot of times it depends on the company's response. And again, I'm not a SIG hater. I own 5 of them, bro. I think their hammer fired guns are awesome, especially from back in the day. I got a 229 in 357 SIG. I have a SIG 230 in 380, which is a fantastic. Says both those guns say made in West Germany. And then I have 320s. Again, I bought video's going to come out. I bought the carry model in 45 from a friend, old man Gigi. We call him old man Gigi. God rest his soul. He's passed on. And that's one of the reasons I kept that gun around, because it was from a buddy of mine. And then when I got it here, I bought the M17 because I want to have all the U.S. military guns. I have an M9, I have an M9A3, I have an M9A1. I have, I have the 1911A1. Now I have the M17 because I like to have the military pistols. And then I bought another 320 carry in 9mm for specifically to make a video and to test trimming that leg off the sear and doing all this stuff. I got a lot of videos on the channel about that, and it was stupid cheap, man. It was like $300. It was really cheap. So let me take a drink. Monster. I'm parched. So there it is, guys. I'm gonna get out of here real soon. That's kind of my explanation. Know one thing about me: I do not fall into the cult of personality. I'm not like, I like that gun tuber, so he's always right. He would never lie to me. Or I like that actor, or I like that politician, or whatever. I play guitars. I like that guitar player. He's awesome. He's such a good person. And then it comes out like, how many times have we heard of that stuff, man? I mean, come on, man. So there it is, guys. Thank you for hanging out for an hour with me. Probably do more of these. I want to give a shout out again to Jason from the Texas Gun Vault and the Texas Gun Vault 2, to Andy, if he's watching this, subscriber, who is a friend, and to Chris up in Gillette, runs the Muffin Top Tactical Podcast. Go check him out on Spotify. To all the friends, 3-inch Mike, if 3-inch Mike, that's a joke we have. Oh, 3-inch Mike. You're going to see one of his guns on the channel soon. And to all the other friends out there that I've known for all the years, old man Gigi, God bless your family. You're missed. And thanks for sticking around, guys, and listening to me ramble. And we will do this again. If you dig this type of stuff, we'll do it again. And we will see you next time. Later.